So the first cards that fell out when we looked at the Faces of Oshun card, and by the way, these are linked below in my description, but the first cards that fell out with this was Oshun the Warrior. So this is fighting with the energy that you have to fight with, right? So this is personal power, assertiveness, and leadership. Those of us who are feeling powerless, as you know, we're not powerless. We do have our own personal power. And just spiritually, we drew on it, and it may feel like nothing to anybody, but I promise you, I have seen what collective power can do over this last year. So the fact that we just took a moment to do that, to send it, is incredibly powerful. Again, I'm asking at 7:30, I keep getting 7:30, at 7:30, do the same thing. Do the same thing. Connect spiritually, and then send out your own power. Okay, and the other part is this, because this is literally where we are. We're in these two energies. There's an energy of grief, loss, heartbreak. So this is Oshun tears. And then there's also the energy, like I said, of Oshun the warrior. And this is just very, very important that we understand that we do and can live in the dichotomy of these emotions. We can grieve what we see and what has been, but we can also draw upon our power to transmute that grief into something that is action forward, that can shift the energy somehow. And that's what we did. One of the things is boundaries. If you have integrity, then you have boundaries. And these boundaries are saying, this is cord cutting, energetic balance, and liberation. Again, I feel like the exercise we were just given to do, that energetic send out exercise, is a boundary. It's a no. Again, you can concentrate through the day on the weaponry jamming, on him being jammed up himself, arrested immediately before he can give the command. You can, focus on other energies that are going to put a stop or a block to this, okay? Then there's also Oshun's machete. This is all powerful energy that we got right here. Hold on, real quick. Underneath boundaries, I do see Oshun of the drought. So it is okay to be feeling this. This is literally part of us. And that is fear, insecurity, and scarcity. But, goosies, goosies, goosies. But right under that, though, y'all, is Oshun of miracles. Of miracles. And look at this. She has hope in one hand and her personal power in the other. Her spiritual personal power in the other. And I believe that's what we just did as well. And so that is divine synchronicity, unexpected blessings, and hope. So let's continue to hold on to hope that this does get stopped. Not because Iran capitulates, but because whoever this is gets dealt with immediately. That said, Oshun's machete, again, powerful energy. This is radical truth, clarity, and self-awareness. I think one of the most radical truths is believing that the energy we just sent out actually will do something. That is radical. That is different. That is almost crazy to believe, except if you also believe in science. Science says the energy out is the energy that will return. And I know I have powerful energy. I've seen it. I've spoken it. And it has come to pass. So Oshun's machete, radical truth, clarity, self-awareness. Be aware that you have this personal power. That you're more powerful than you ever believed, because right behind it is Oshun's manifesting birth. And this card says manifestation, intention, and abundance. So this is what we need to hold in our own minds and spirits today. And that is, this card was right here and it said, please look at me. And that is the fact that we can intentionally focus our energy into stopping this. Again, not because Iran capitulates, but because we get dealt with. Whomever that is in this office, he's our we right now. And he gets dealt with. He gets stopped. He gets snatched up. He gets arrested. He gets put away. He gets his rights taken from him, as well as his access. That's what we need to be focusing on, and that whomever is in charge over in the uniform area space also gets dealt with too, if they're planning to go through with this. That said, Oshun of Mercy said, please see me. And this is compassion, forgiveness, and empathy. So I know that we have heard for decades how that group of people over in a whole nother country are evil, or whatever people heard. You know, again, I don't totally believe that's that protester stuff that was sold to us, because it was very hypocritical to hear them talking about that and then to see what they were doing here. And you know who's the king of hypocrites? Mr. Page of Cups in reverse. Mr. I'm gonna just call him Mr. because his initials are Mr. M.R. He is the king of hypocrites, because if you watch what he says, then you know that he will say whatever needs to be said and do whatever needs to be done. He is the king of hypocrites. He's a very dangerous entity. And so you need to understand that we're allowed to have empathy for the people over there. We're allowed to have compassion for them, and we're allowed to forgive ourselves for believing the propaganda. We are allowed to. Now, that said, do they have the best government? Absolutely not. But do we? Absolutely not. So to be, they're all this and this and this and that without actually taking a look at what we have going on over here, that in itself, my dears, is hypocritical. So the other thing that just came out were these cards. Again, we are being used as a mercenary knight to bring death. We're being used as mercenary knights to bring death. They want to rain BOMBSs. But this card says there's also a chance for rebirth. So there's also a chance for this to get snatched the hell up and stopped before it actually happens. Because if that man even so much as commands it to happen, he needs to be dealt with like they dealt with people 100 years ago. No more breath should be taken. No row, no last meal. Just straight up squadron. That said, I don't think it's going to be completed. The world card did come out in reverse here. And we're looking at the devil. That is him right now. That is him right now. He is tied to the devil. He is so freaking complicit right now. And he thinks he's being strong in leadership. But he is not. The people who are being strong are ironically the other people. Ira. They're the strong ones. And so he's going to try to command our special forces. In fact, if you checked out Libby's reading, it resonated so much because I was saying this rescue doesn't feel right. Something feels really awful and off about that rescue. And I think that is why they suddenly popped up with the Tuesday at 8 p.m. almost 8 hours after the rescue, they posted that. So if you watch Libby from last night, she spoke on how that rescue was actually a drop-off. And here comes the rain. I know some people are feeling stuck real. Hold on. Stop raining, please. Stop raining. Let me pack my things. Hold on. Stop raining. I have another call in 20 minutes, so we can't be out here long anyway. But stop raining. 1 second. You know what? Let me grab the umbrella. Hurry up. Hold on. prepared, but I did not. Whoops! I'm not wasting my mosquito spray that I used. So we're gonna do this. Hold on. Which way is up? Which way is up? Up. Which way is up? Hold on. Okay, that's gone. Hold on. I'm moving you out the way. Oh. I went over there and got bit as soon as I went over there. Okay. So this should be correct. Yes. Okay. So it should be making noise to open. And then it stops. All right. All right, you guys. We are back. Okay. Then it stops. It stops raining. Oh, no, it doesn't. I hear it. Okay. So, this is really interesting. Because, whew, God, dog. She is out of shape. Okay. So, here's what's really... I'm trying to get my cards dry real quick. All right, here's what's really interesting. Is we got these three that came in the upright, right? So we got the devilish energy that Ira is fighting with. And so they're going to send in special forces, which they have. I truly resonated with Libby's reading yesterday, last night, whatever, this morning. Because, you know, she's in Australia. And it kind of touched on what I got yesterday. And I was like, okay, there we go. That's what makes sense. Is that it was the magician. Remember, we got the magician card over and over again. Look at what I'm doing over here while I'm doing this over there. And so they're like, we're rescuing. But instead, they were putting a special forces inside the country. And then within 8 hours of that happening, which I guess it means they were successful in getting wherever they needed to go, we get Tuesday at 8 o'clock. So, yeah. So that's the special forces. But those cards came in the upright. So, like, this is our current energy, I guess. Like, what's really happening. But here's what the universe is saying. Now, this one's really interesting because this is like stuck energy and an effect. Let me see what it means in the light seers to see it in the reverse. Because being stuck actually isn't resonating with me. In the light seers, it says walking away and then regretting your choices, feeling stuck in your current reality, fears that block your momentum, escapism, avoidance. This is Congress. Okay. This feels like Congress and their avoidance, right? Because they should be saying no. They should have been standing up. I should not have, at 11 o'clock, seen no one responding to something that was posted 3 hours ago. This should have been quicker. There should have been a heavier response. And there hasn't been. I don't know if there has since then. But these are telling me here that it's not going to happen. Whatever this thing is, the mercenary knight went to do, it has failed. And this is why they're trying to end the world, and that's not going to work either. They failed at whatever extraction or infiltration they were trying to do. It has failed. I don't know what they were doing, but it has failed. It has failed. That is so clear and resonant with me, is it failed. It did not take root. It did not take hold. It was not a success. It was an epic failure, not an epic fury. So, that said, again, they're trying to end the world, but that's not going to happen either. Their world or whatever. That's not going to happen either. Thank God we're being led by failures.